Okay, hello and welcome to the aftermath of the Leicester game. So it's currently about 10:30, straight after the game. We thought we'd record our initial reactions towards the actual game and kind of give our opinions straight after to try and get that idea of what we saw. I guess we're not really going to be too happy to talk about it, but I think it'd be a good indication to see what we thought initially straight after that game. Does anyone want to start us off on what they saw?
I stopped watching at 3-0.
Really?
Yeah, I was in my room,
Mm.
just watching Star Wars and playing FIFA. Oh yeah, the Saints game's on. I watched that.
Yeah.
Stopped watching it. Yeah, just turned off at 3-0. My phone kept vibrating the score update. Yeah.
Okay, so a bit of context. So, Jamie, you're in London. You're watching it.
I came back home. I was going to get tickets to go, but then I decided not to last minute.
So you were watching it on TV,
I was watching it on Sky Sports. Okay. I don't do illegal stuff like that.
Okay. Right. So Harry, where were you watching it? Did you watch it or did you?
Yeah, I was around a friend's house because we were going to go to the sports bar, but they're like, just come around mine. So I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. 2
Leicester fans, 1 Saints fan, a Villa fan, an Arsenal fan, 2 Manchester United fans, and I just got rinsed for approximately an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not ideal, to be honest. Yeah, it was probably one of the worst viewing experiences I've had in my life. And now, like you've seen, my father is now a meme on Instagram. So that's fantastic.
Jamie, currently 19,000 likes.
For the video podcast, Jamie, can you get the photo up? Just to show people what we're talking about. Just while Jamie's finding that, Mikey, can you explain? You went to the game, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Can you kind of give us a rough idea of what the atmosphere was like, seeing it firsthand?
The first half, it was very strange because the first half it wasn't great. I mean, you can imagine 5-0 down.
Yeah.
And then everyone sort of left, and I don't want, the football wasn't enjoyable, but the atmosphere actually kind of was. It was quite nice. Best chant of the night was Man City, we're coming for you. So
I'm assuming that the fan base almost got stripped back to the fans that were used to having defeat and seeing Saints being beaten regularly. That kind of idea of being relegated in the Championship, seeing those fan base, seeing that and being relegated. Did you kind of get that idea that the people left at the end of the game were the people who were almost used to seeing Southampton being beaten?
Well, I think that's a little bit. It's a little bit hard because some supporters have been coming for many years and they would have left the ground at half time, no doubt. But it did seem like more of a. It seemed like the people that couldn't take the result left, and the people that seemed to try to take the result tried to make a joke out of it. It was just such a strange atmosphere because let's say this is the first time that I've experienced a 9-0 in the Premier League.
Yeah,
probably the last ever.
Well, it's only
Harry. We've got Man City twice.
Sorry, I interrupted Mikey. Let him keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, come on,
Mikey. And it was just a little bit strange. It was a little bit weird. I didn't have a Southampton supporter next to me, which is actually kind of nice because he was trying to say, it's an amazing occasion and everyone's coming together, and he was trying to preach football, and it's sort of like, I don't think he really supports. Actually, no, I think he is a Southampton supporter, but he just hadn't come for a long time. I think it was his first time in 3 years at the stadium, so I think he was just enjoying the experience of being back. I know. I liked him. I
mean, just put it in perspective. I think Harry's just going to come off for a second, but me and Harry both watched it on TV. Obviously, Jamie watched it partially on TV. Mikey saw it in real life. For me, I almost disassociated it halfway through as it went on because it seemed like a little cameo for Mikey's mum there.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like once it got to about, I think once the game got killed off at 3-0, I almost knew that there was no way back for us, and with a red card as well, any possible game plan. Well, it just seemed like there was no possible game plan because there's no way to get back in that game. do you protect your goal difference or do you go for a goal out of dignity? It seems like there's no possible way to actually try and find a tactic at that point.
Mean, two centre backs coming on at half time really shows Ralph's attitude towards the game, just trying to defend the goal difference.
I don't think that was the case. I think that he tried something different and it didn't work. And to be fair, in any sort of circumstance where you could try something different, when you're 5-0 down, it's probably a good idea to go, maybe this will work. And because it didn't work, we probably won't try it again. But thankfully, it happened in that game.
Even if you're 5-0 down, when you, with 11 men on the pitch, at least you could try a different attacking formation and try and get a goal. But I think the red card was so... First of all, it seemed so out of the blue watching it on TV. It seemed like there was arguments, turned around, and then it flipped straight up to Ryan Bertrand's, I'd probably say deservingly late and dangerous tackle. I mean, you can't argue with the system. That's something that would have been picked up on TV possibly before, in seasons before, but now, because of the technology, it's been brought up and it's probably been rightly punished. But it's completely thrown off any possibility we had in that game to try and create even a sort of different tactic. And I almost felt surreal watching the game because I didn't quite understand from about 3-0, 4-0 onwards what we could even possibly do until waiting for the final whistle and just forgetting it. It seemed like
it was
we
incredibly.
were just waiting.
It was incredibly. It was tough to watch because you sort of knew at the red card. I just thought to myself, right, this is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how tough it was going to be, but it was just such a strange game to be at because you're thinking, what can Ralph do? Because you can't really bring on another striker because we're being ripped out. Our defence has been ripped apart with 5. You can't take one of them off because they're just going to get ripped apart even more.
No.
You can't bring on a defender because that's just negativity. And the fans won't like that because it's a negative substitution. I think there were a few boos for Jack Stevens when he came on. Which I think was just ridiculous.
That didn't come across when I saw it, but yeah. Well, for me anyway. But one thing that seemed interesting to me was the fact that the idea that we put 5 at the back to try and nullify that attacking play. And once they do start scoring goals, playing 5 at the back meant we took a man out of that midfield. That's the way I always see it when you see 5 at the back, a man comes out of that midfield. And the fact that they go in defence to try and secure and you almost create a wall between the defence and striker. But when that's not working, I was almost slightly interested to see if that midfield would come more active. But it seemed like Ralph's solution was just to put on more defenders. But it just basically meant we had absolutely no attacking or midfield position or transition or anything like that. Anything in that, it was just purely to defend. And I think he was just damaging controlling near the end.
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't help the fact that your target man, the man to hold the ball up when you do clear it, was Nathan Redmond. You cannot. I don't understand him playing up.
We needed Sam Gallagher.
Target man up front.
But
meme update: Harry Tizard's father is now on 20,000 likes.
Jamie's found the photo.
Picture of him there on the right.
Yeah, lovely.
Caption is: when it's Friday and your weekend is already ruined. And that, I believe, that is the EFL Cup final.
But I think I'm very worried about where. I mean, it was only us and Ipswich that have lost heavily this bad in the Premier League. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's the heaviest defeat in Premier League, or the joint heaviest Premier League defeat. But people are going on the fact that it's the joint highest win as well, isn't it? And Leicester are away from home as well. And
highest away win. Sorry to interrupt.
Highest away win. Yeah, that's true. And I think we agreed earlier. Was it yesterday we did the podcast and we talked about how 5 at the back. We'll do 5 at the back at home, but I just midway through the game I realised that 5 at the back at home really tells you the desperation Ralph was in to try and keep a clean sheet and happy to get a draw at home. You know, the difference between us and Leicester 3 and 4 years ago compared to now is just outstanding. Like, it's incredible the difference that's there. It's a manager, a different transfer policy.
It's a very well-run club.
And they've taken it in the right direction, and they're on a really high trajectory right now. And we've taken the chances to try and progress our club, but it's really you've got to look at it now and say we're in a really dangerous path if things don't get sorted soon.
Well, I was talking to my mum and dad on the way back from the game, and I was saying that us and Leicester are quite similar clubs, where we have sold players on, and we've had really good players, and then they've been sold on to bigger clubs, and it's how it's been reinvested. And we've sort of gone for an approach where if we see a problem, we try to fix it with the most obvious thing we possibly can. So the best example of this, we were conceding a lot of goals from headers, so we signed the tallest player in the Premier League. That's how we sort of run. Well, when Leicester sold their players, they either replaced them really well or improved on them.
Yeah.
Like you see, some of the players that Leicester, Yuri Tielemans, Ricardo Pereira, James Maddison, like some of these players are like really, really good players. Iosi Perez was outstanding tonight.
Yeah.
Like the players that they've signed have been replaced, but we've never replaced Fonte, we've never replaced Tadic, we've never replaced Pella. We even going back to like Nathaniel Klein, we never really replaced. Like
Not really,
all of these players that we've bought, and they were really good for us. We just never bought in a replacement for them.
Yeah,
and I think it's just down to how the clubs run.
I think after about 4-0, me and the mate that I was watching this game it was almost laughable. You kind of detached yourself from the actual result because you realised you were just watching a game of two different classes. You look at the team that we've got now, and the team we have are the leftovers of the characteristic and the good players that got sent on later. You look at players like Pella, you look at Mane, you look at all the good players that moved on eventually. It's because we got given the leftovers of that team that didn't want to go and didn't want to move on. We've got players that even the Højbjerg in midfield. I don't know if it's the second or third goal. There's so many that I can't even remember which one it was. Just walking, and Danny Ings. I mentioned it when we were talking together while the game was going on. Danny Ings was further back than Højbjerg. He's just walking, just watching the play go on, and eventually they score from it. But what does that tell you? Your defensive midfielder is walking while your striker is putting more effort to get behind the ball than he is. There's something seriously wrong. That's your captain. He's meant to be firing up the rest of them. And he can't even be bothered to get behind the ball and try and win possession back.
The amount of times that we got caught out by crosses as well towards the back post, they should have scored so many more. I think it was Vardy's second goal. He was in between the two centre backs, and neither of them picked him up. Neither Benarek or Yoshida picked him up. The fourth goal. The fourth goal where Valerie was supposed to be marking Iosi Perez, and he just turned his back on him. Didn't even look. It was just incredibly depressing to see. And I know, like people will go, "Oh, it's the players' attitudes and stuff like that." It's also Ralph as well. I think, what is he doing? Like, what is he coaching to make sure that the player at the back post is marked, that the player in the centre of the box, literally in front of the goal, is marked? I could not tell you one player that had a good game tonight from Southampton.
No, definitely not. And did you notice as well, one of the goals from Gunn, he did exactly the same manoeuvre where he pushed it to the side without much pace. Exactly the same mistake he made. Yeah, the first goal. Now, what does that tell you? That's not an unlucky mistake. That's something that's being coached to him that isn't correct and has caused a goal twice, 2 weeks in a row.
Do you think it's quite concerning considering that we got a new goalkeeper coach and things weren't great last season, but now they do look possibly even worse in the goalkeeping area?
I just think Gunn should have been brought in.
Problem is that it's wet and it's slippy, and there was a lot more power behind the first goal. There was a lot more power behind that shot than there was against Wolves last weekend. And I would say that Gunn saved it. There was a deflection on it as well, and Gunn did well to react and save it. Well, the problem is he should be pushing that behind, but if he doesn't push that behind, then one of our players has to clear it up. It's not just Gunn's job to catch it, to save the ball and then have to recover it afterwards as well. Yeah. Someone has to be chasing down Chilwell, and that was another problem, is that the width that they played with, the fullbacks that they have, you need at least 2 players out wide to help cover. Because I think Valerie got ripped to shreds by a fullback and a winger. Like, it really showed why Cedric's been playing and he hasn't. Yeah. Because he got absolutely ripped to shreds. And then when you're trying to play Ward-Prowse out wide as a right wing back who's not natural, it's just it was just sad.
Yeah. It was really, I was talking to you guys when the 2 subs came on. I generally had no idea what the formation was. And one thing that I realised as well, the idea that if 5 at the back isn't working, if we've already conceded with 5 at the back, I mean, it's a bit of a cliche, but the best form of defence sometimes can be attack, and you clearly saw that sometimes with Leicester. If you apply pressure and you can have control of the midfield, then your defence doesn't have to do the work. But the fact is, if we put so many people in defence and take those players out of midfield, the fact is we lose possession in the biggest majority of play in the midfield, and we rely on putting people behind the ball in defence, which clearly didn't work. And the thing is, if you've got Vardy versus Yoshida, Vardy can skin him. He did him. He nutmegged him, turned him, and put it in the back of the net. If it's quality, and they've got better quality. Do you not? Honestly, Jamie.
I didn't watch it.
I'm sorry, yeah. Honestly, Jamie, he turned Yoshida inside out, put it in the back of the net for whichever goal, I don't know. But the fact
one
is,
of the 9.
Yeah,
one of the
quality versus quality. The fact is, we used to be fearless and use our midfield, use our attack, and apply the pressure so that they didn't have a chance to use their attack. The fact is, we're so defensive and so worried now that we put it in our defence. And I understand as the confidence is cripplingly low that we can't really get there, and it's not really going to happen. But the fact is that by putting so many in defence and putting, we've got 5 defenders and 2 CDMs, and we still conceded 9 today. What does that tell you? We've got no attacking outlet. We've got no one to hold up the ball. It just basically means it's defenders v attackers. If you've got 7 defenders versus them who can attack whenever they want, it's defenders v attackers. We will just concede goals until they choose to score. It's not an effective solution. And
it really showed that we were lost when we got the ball forward. There was very little to no support whatsoever. We were playing 8 at the back, and then it was just sort of, Redmond and Ings will be able to conjure up something.
Because we're playing 2 CDMs. The width is apparently meant to come from the wing backs. Well, that's not working because they're holding back to try and defend. Where does the attacking outlet come from? You think you win that ball in the midfield. Romeo and Højbjerg are in CDM. You've got 5 defenders behind them. We broke away with Redmond. The only person that's in there in the box is Ings, and the rest are all behind the ball. You're going to get no attacking help from him. They're all behind the ball. It's really worrying, and the fact that we saw some unconvincing performances in the past, but the fact that we're seeing 9 go in our own net at home.
I think the club's just so poorly run at the moment. It really shows the fact how Elanusi and Forster having an amazing form right now in Celtic. And it just shows the good coaches you can have. Don't get me wrong, Neil, forget his surname, Lennon, yeah. Think of Neil Warnock for a second. Neil Lennon, that he can coach Forster. And his Forster had such an amazing game against Lazio.
Yeah.
The fact that he's come back to the form he was in when he first signed to us just really shows the fact our goalkeeping department is just on another level, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
It just shows that how poorly our clubs run. The fact that these players are branded as outlet, all that branded as rubbish, they're useless, let's get rid of them. And they're thriving alone, getting away from the club. And it just baffles me as how we concede 9 and we're letting Fraser Forster go away like that.
Well, the fact is, we let Fraser Forster go because we thought he was low on confidence. But the fact is, he gets under a good coach, goes to Scotland, and he's got great form. And we mentioned that together. However, I'll mention it on the podcast. Elyounoussi came out to the press, into the Scottish press, and said that Fraser Forster was the most talented goalkeeper at Southampton. And you realise that he's popular with the squad. You can clearly see that in the clips. He makes good saves in training. However, in the game and what he's being taught, he's clearly not confident with what he's being taught. As soon as he goes to Celtic and gets the back in, he's pulling off wonder stops. I mean, that save he did in the Europa League, Champions League?
Last few minutes of the game.
Minute of the game, saving his team. Brilliant. I mean, we don't have anything like that. It just, gone every time he scored. He's not having a go at his centre-backs. He's looking like he wants to be swallowed up by the ground. I'm watching it on TV. They're close up on his face because he's just conceded. And he looks like he just wants to wait for the final whistle and get out of there.
I just want to know what Ralph's plans are for Man City. Like, how is he going to come around this?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, Leicester are an amazing side, but City on another level to them.
Yeah.
Like, what's he going to do is put McCarthy in. He can't play gun after this. But then McCarthy's just going to get embarrassed against City. It's going to loop. What keeper is going to have confidence to actually play against these teams? None of them are.
Yeah.
What players are going to have the confidence after losing 9-0? It'll be really interesting to see which players want to bounce back and at least put in a decent performance.
I think Højbjerg's lost Saints fans now as well. I 100% believe that. Are you saying that, Ollie? He's the fact that he's walking back and Danny Ings is further back than him.
And that's the thing.
Adam Blackmore's tweeting about it, how he's lost confidence in him.
And the fact that he gets a pass because he comes up to the press conferences and apologises to the fan. Okay, well done. You've done the best thing off the pitch. Well done. But you can't substitute that for having a poor game on the pitch. You can be the best role model off the pitch, but if you're not actually tracking back, you're not actually doing your job on the pitch, then it's useless. It's not actually the point. I'd much rather you have a better game on the pitch, like Stephen Davis used to do. Have a brilliant game on the pitch and be silent in the media or whatever. Just not my microphone, but have a brilliant game and be silent or whatever, and just be a quiet person. But just have a good game. I don't need you to come out to the media and say the things that I want to hear. I want to hear you have a good game. That's all I want.
The problem is that the amount of times that we've heard Højbjerg come out into a press conference and say, "Oh, this will never happen again. This is not acceptable.
It's going to happen again next few games."
It's. I think it has got to the fans now where it is just the expected thing. If we can see
the boy that cried wolf,
three or more, it's going to be Højbjerg out there going, "Oh, this isn't acceptable."
Yeah, like how many times do I need to hear it before it?
I want to see Danny Ings come out. He's the only one I personally thought, from the few bits I did see, that he was actually trying. Yeah. I want to see him. I honestly think he's a bit of an outrageous claim. He should be out. He should be the captain because he's the one who really cares about the club.
He's got Southampton in his blood. It's a different feeling to if you want to just be a fan favourite by saying the right things. Yeah, fine, and it's worked for Højbjerg because he's got captaincy. But does he really want it? I mean, Ings knows how much it means to actual fans, and when he's looking out there and saying, "Mikey, you were at the game. Tell us what it was like to see their fans at the end of the game. What was the atmosphere at the end of the game? How many were there? How empty was it at that stadium?"
It was pretty much probably about 10,000 fans maximum of ours sticking around. And at the end of the game, Southampton players walked to the Northern. Well, I say walked to the Northern. They walked as close as they wanted to get to the Northern, clapped them, and walked off. Didn't even come around the Kingsland or the Chapel. Didn't do any of that. Ralph didn't come out. No. Ralph went straight down to the tunnel. It took him about 20 minutes to come out and actually talk to BBC Radio Solent as well.
Yeah. And we're talking about the interview. Carry on, Mikey.
And the interview just seemed like there was more questions than answers. There wasn't definite statements of like, this is unacceptable, this will not happen again. I think there was a question about was it the wrong formation that caused like the 3 goals in 10 minutes or whatever it was. And he said it was nothing to do with the formation. So tell us what it was to do with. There's got to be an answer for this because otherwise, I've said to my mum as well, is that I hope that Alan Shearer's on Match of the Day tomorrow night and he rips into our defence because, I don't know what happened in our defence. I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know what went wrong. I don't think Ralph does. I don't think Ralph's got a clue what happened in the defence, and that's why he threw on another 2 centre-backs. Because there was just no organisation. People didn't know what they were doing, and it looked horrendous. So it would be nice to actually have some answers instead of having to walk away with questions.
I 100% agree with you. And the problem that I have as well, that I think Ralph is probably one of the best managers we've probably seen around this club in recent times. However, I generally think, and this is, I think, is what the problem is, the players that he's been given to try and run his system aren't capable enough to run the system. I honestly think that's what it is. I think he's a brilliant technical manager that we've got to, and the fact is, I don't think he's got the players to run it. And I think he probably will end up either walking away or getting sacked because he doesn't get the ideas, and we'll have to get in a manager that can simplify it. I mean, I hate
Sam
to say
Allardyce.
Are we going to see Allardyce come along?
The thing is, I'd like to see it for the memes. Hilarious.
Are we going to see him come along?
Sam effing Allardyce, as I'm not going to catch the swear.
Yeah.
As our manager,
It just
shows the desperation.
Ralph is a European technical manager. He wants to run a system that is different, and he has the possibility, if he had the players behind him. We're not questioning
only so much a manager can do.
This could be, this, and the fact that Ralph. I mean, we talked about the interview that he did after. He's saying he took 100% responsibility. Well, why is that? It's because a manager can get sacked a lot easier than the players can. You can't sack the players, and he's basically calling too much of the players, I think. I mean, you look at around that squad, you've got a real batch of poor players that aren't performing at the moment. And is Ralph overcomplicating and asking too much of these players? Is it too much? And if he ends up getting the sack or walking away because it's too difficult, he even said in the interview, I never expected something like this. You think it could happen, but I never expected. Well, it proves it today. You can get battered 9-0 if you don't play well. Are we going to see him walk away? Are we going to see him get sacked? And are we going to see a player who's going to basically oversimplify the team and get them performing the basics? Because the basics were not being shown today, were they? I mean, you guys all watched it, or for a part watched it, and there was basic mistakes being made and errors being leaked on, which a Brendan Rodgers side clearly leaked upon and filled their boots for as many goals as they wanted.
It got to the point where even Jamie Vardy wasn't really celebrating. That's how depressing it got. That even Vardy didn't want to celebrate and take the mick out of our fans.
No.
I don't want to talk about it.
Doesn't really work shushing the fans when there's no fans.
The one thing that I am like quite interested on is the ruling of the red card. Like I didn't see the replay in the stadium. I was too busy trying like by the sound of it was a red card.
He caught his calf and pulled down, and watching it on a replay, it was a red card.
It was very dangerous tackle.
I couldn't care less if it was a red card or not. The thing that I'm interested in is the fact that the red card happened in the build-up of the goal. So surely, if it's a red card, it should be a free kick and the goal should be taken away. Because if you think about the order of the play, the foul happens and then the goal is scored. So why have we gone a goal down and then a man down when we should have only been a man down? That is like the only, like it really it baffled me so much that I sort of just didn't watch the next 2 goals. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that it hadn't been brought back to a free kick and the goal was allowed. It just doesn't make sense.
And I understand. It seems like if you saw one of those challenges in Match of the Day, it would be, you'd get the commentator saying, oh, he's got away with it there, that's a really dangerous challenge. You can imagine it, can't you, on Match of the Day? And what they've done is they're saying, we're punishing that. That's a dangerous challenge, we're punishing that. But we're going through a phase of change at the moment with VAR. And the fact is that they want to prove points. They don't want to kind of let things go. They want to prove points and try and show that it's effective or it's creating effect. And I think that's quite dangerous for some clubs. But it almost proved a point that they made a VAR red card change in a game while it was active, and I think that was, it's going to be a turning point. We're going to see, people being sent off. We're going to see people being carded without the referees even knowing it, because it's such a quick, fast game that the cameras can pick up so much more than an actual referee can. It's going to completely revolutionise the game that we're not going to see before.
That's still, I don't care with the amount of red cards. I just don't understand it.
No,
it's like if it's like, so like you telling me if there's a handball in the opposition's box or something like that, and then it results in a goal, do you have to go back to the handball and give a free kick?
Yeah.
Or does it just end at the goal? Can you accept a VAR decision or not, like in American football?
You could have to completely rewrite the rules and say, if a decision's being made, a red card will always cause a free kick afterwards, won't it? And the free kick will have to be taken. Do you have to completely rewrite the rules because you're introducing this new technique? It's completely different. But that's the idea of VAR. That's the promise of VAR. I really want to kind of get into the idea of why Southampton, why this club is in embarrassment at the moment. You look online, and it's about 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, and every single thing that's trending in the United Kingdom is about this game. It's either Angus Gunn being ripped to shreds by Twitter, it's Leicester being applauded by Twitter, it's Ralph being ripped to shreds by Twitter. Everything is focused on Southampton and Leicester, and it's not the fact that Leicester had an outstanding game, because they didn't. They were just playing against a team that really were underperforming and were nothing. They could walk past them. They could put any ball anywhere and win it. And I just don't understand the fact that what happened in that difference between Wolves and Leicester, in the fact that we were completely walked over, and you could have, it was like we were invisible, like we weren't there, and nothing was in the way of Leicester scoring. Like an empty net, like an empty half. Nothing was there for them to play against. I just don't understand what that change was and what happened. Was there anything that you guys noticed that seemed abnormal or different or cause for concern?
Effort levels.
Attitude.
Whenever we would go back to a kickoff, it would be heads down, slouching. I know. Like, I think Jamie said that the only person who really looked like putting effort was Danny Ings. But then when we were playing, like, we do the normal kickoff thing we do, pass it back to the centre back and lump it forward and lose it.
Yeah.
Ings on the fourth kickoff, Ings really just could not be asked.
No.
Because he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Leicester knew what was going to happen. Every club in the country know exactly what we're going to do from kickoff, and exactly what we're going to do from free kicks. We don't change it up. We don't try and play out the back because we don't have the ability or the confidence to do so.
And do you think that the players that we've got, Ralph's obviously using a pressing style to avoid the fact that we can't really play possession-based football? Or maybe we can, but he's not focusing on that style. He's focusing on giving the opposition play and forcing them into mistakes. And I think the one thing that, maybe it's just me and you, Mikey, talking now.
Yeah, it is.
No, so I had to switch that light on.
I think the difference between German football... wait, was it German that
he was playing? Germany,
yeah, you're going to have to
Leipzig
for that. But I think the difference between German football and English football is the fact that the amount of money that's in it. You look at Leicester, they sold a centre-back. They've got 2 new centre-backs that are completely comfortable on the ball. And that pressing style isn't a number one way of scoring goals. You've still got to be good in possession. You've still got to be dangerous on attack. Pressing, it can't be the only way that you're getting goals. I think it seemed like, the first piece of possession we had, we passed it back. Valerie took a touch under absolutely no pressure and lumped it up the pitch, clearly to initiate Danny Ings to start pressing and forcing a mistake. But I'm sorry, it's not the Bundesliga. It's not an unexperienced centre-back. It's Johnny Evans, who's played in the league for 5 or 6 years, comfortable on the ball.
Longer than that.
Yeah, well, much
more. He's played for Man United.
Well, but he's comfortable.
He won titles in United for England.
Yeah, he's comfortable on the ball. He's He's
Did
experienced.
Jamie just say he played for England?
Oh my God! That's real. Oh my! I'm quitting. Right.
Wait, but my point. Oh, Jamie Allen left.
Jamie Allen.
My point still stands that they won't make mistakes, and a pressing style is not an attacking way to beat a team. You've still got to be comfortable in possession. You've still got to be. Oh, there we go. Jamie's back.
Sorry, that's very embarrassing.
You've still got to be comfortable in possession. You've still got to be dangerous in attack. That's not a way to score goals just by pressing. And the only way we've been scoring goals is by pressing. So is it Ralph? Is it the players? I don't know, but something's seriously wrong with that team.
The problem is that Ralph's still learning, and the fact is that while Ralph is learning about the players and learning about the league, he cannot risk losing games. No, and I think that's the reason why he's playing 5 at the back. If it was Ralph's way, and if Ralph had the players that he wanted and had all the money that he wanted,
it'd be 4 at the back.
We would be playing a 4-2-2-2 because that's the way he played in the Bundesliga.
Because he'd have a comfortable 4 at the back and put those players back into midfield that he wants. That's the difference.
But at the moment, we do not have 2 competent centre backs that can play together.
No,
we don't. As much as Southampton fans rave about Jan Bednarek, it really showed that he is not the Lord and Saviour. He's not the next Van Dijk. No. I know it's very difficult to be the next Van Dijk, but we do need a very similar character. Let's go. He's not the new Jose Fonte.
No.
And that's the thing that we're missing. We are missing a Jose Fonte.
We never replaced the captain and leader, the guy actually cared about the club since
and
Jose
yet again,
left.
he's added to his individual mistakes. He caused a penalty at the last minute. Why injure our goal difference like that? Force him out wide, let him hit the side netting. It doesn't matter. It's 8-0. Don't cause the penalty.
The position that he was pushing him in, Gunn probably would have saved it.
Probably saved it. Now I know Gunn wasn't on the best of form because he conceded 8 before that, but don't give him the chance to get a penalty.
Actually,
I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
All right.
One thing is,
don't
Kizar's dad and 22,000 likes.
See, that's what I mean. I was sat in the flat today, and I was frustrated at half the time, but I was just not laughing, but just like you said, like the phrase is, if you don't laugh, you cry. And the problem that I have is that people were saying to me before the game even kicked off, or at 1-0 or 2-0, I just think this is the season you'll be relegated. And I responded to them and said, if we're going to get relegated, it would have been 2 years ago when we didn't have a fantastic squad and we were playing badly. But the problem is we've just been 9-0, and if you reflect, I know this is the sort of time that you would reflect. But if you reflect on all the games this season, we've needed Gineppo to win games for one. Yeah. So that's we've sort of been a one-man squad, and also I don't know a game that we've actually played well for. Like if you think back, I can't think of a game where we've outplayed a team, and that's my main concern. That as much as I try and dismiss the fact and be the happy clapper, as people like to say on Twitter, I just I'm not saying it could be the season, but we're not in a great position, and before a ball's been kicked on Saturday, we've put ourselves in the relegation zone by getting onto minus 16 goal difference or whatever it is.
And honestly, I totally agree with you, Harry. The fact that we haven't dominated games, the idea is that this pressing style will get us goals. Well, that doesn't really work in the Premier League. I completely understand the fact that we don't dominate games anymore. We will purposely throw away possession in order for us to restart our pressing technique. Now, I really don't think, if that's the only way that Ralph believes we will truly create goals, I think we're truly in bad times, because I've looked at our teams under Pellegrino, I've looked at under our teams at Puel, but have I seen people give up that badly as we did tonight? I don't think I have, and that is really worrying. If I've ever seen us, I've seen us being battling the bottom of the Premier League, but seeing us, I think it's truly the lowest of the lows that we've seen us in the Premier League tonight. 9-0 is completely unacceptable and shows truly the lack of character that we have in that dressing room.
Sure.
I just looked at the minus 16. It's just actually seeing it on the table is just embarrassing, to be honest. 2 wins, 2 draws, 6 losses is unacceptable.
No.
It's just the squad we have, like you said, it's just a mismatch.
And you can keep sacking managers and buying new managers and get Sam Allardyce in. But the fact is, do you really think we can try and get can you see an upwards trajectory with this squad? I don't think I can. And it's as bad as it is to say, would a relegation purge that squad of the uncharacteristic players? It's horrible to say, but if we went down and came back up again, is there players in that squad that you truly believe could try and get us back up the league?
For relegation, you can't. Stoke thought the same. Huddersfield probably thought the same. Relegation's never the answer because you never know what can happen. So the Championship is the most difficult league in probably in the world, in sort of relativity in the world. So I don't think so.
I'm not saying for us to get relegated.
Oh no, I'm saying to just relegate ourselves.
I think it should be the aim of the season. By the end of the season, we should be 20th in the league. And we should aim to relegate ourselves.
I'm not saying that.
Maybe a couple of relegations, and then we'll be able to rebuild the squad if we're not in a horrendous financial.
I'm saying, who do you believe in that squad? Who do you believe? Because I believed in Højbjerg, but I'm seeing him jog behind with Danny Ings behind him. I don't see anyone that I can really believe in that squad apart from Danny Ings and a couple other people. We fought Bednarak. But he's making mistakes, individual errors and things like that. I don't know who I can believe in that squad anymore. That's what I'm talking about.
It's not acceptable.
Where that change can come from. Where can that change
I think the worst thing to come out of this, if tomorrow morning you get a video on the Southampton Twitter page of them laughing and having fun, that would be the worst thing about it. I would much prefer them looking miserable doing some sort of fitness test. Like that is what I would want to see, because they shouldn't be happy after this result.
No.
They shouldn't be given an easy run in training. I think Ralph really has to look at what he's been doing in training and
because it's not
how he's playing this team.
And we all agree that it's not working.
Well, whatever he's trying, it's not working because we're in the relegation zone. We've won 2 games this year, and they've been from 2 Musa Djenepo wonder goals.
Yeah.
And it's just because from those games you were thinking, oh, we may not have been creating something, but at least we were defensively solid. We're now not creating anything, and we're not defensively solid.
So what is our tactic? What is our positive output to the game? What are we bringing to the game that the other opposition don't have? We don't have anything. What do we actually have? What do we have to try and separate us from the other people in the relegation battle?
We have Shane Long.
The championship
sides, not the time.
The championship sides have that uncertainty. Some teams have individual brilliance, but I can't see what we have. I don't have any players that I can believe. I don't believe in. Do you believe in Højbjerg as a captain to try and pull this club through this difficult time? No, not really. Jamie's giving me not really. Mikey's giving me no. Tizar, do you believe in Højbjerg?
It's certainly a difficult situation. The problem is,
yes or no? I don't know. Yes or no?
Let me answer the question.
Yes or no?
Let me answer the question.
Yes or no? No, because you're going to ramble on for the next 20 minutes. Yes or no? Yes or no?
This podcast has been an hour long.
Mikey, I sat silently for you and Ollie to speak for 30 minutes. I think I can deserve
30 minutes.
For me,
yes, Harry, I agree.
The last 30 minutes.
Yes or no?
To interrupt me now.
Yes or no?
The problem is with Højbjerg being a captain. I don't know if he wants to be the captain. I don't know if it's the captain of this club or a captain in general. I think he'd be the same for a different club. That's my main concern. Whereas I agree with what Ollie said in terms of Danny Ings will be like this. He'll do the same for other clubs, but he won't be so committed and so passionate about this club because he's from here. He knows what it means.
His blood.
And with Højbjerg, he can try as much as he wants, but he'll never fully know because he's not from the sort of area. And I just think, I don't know, it's harsh on Højbjerg because he has been really good for a very long time. But as Ollie was saying, if he's not putting in those hard yards, I know we're 5 or 6-0 down, or going all the way up to 7, 8, 9. But that's what I mean. But you only have to play once or twice a week. Put your effort in. That's why you're there, to put the 100% effort in, especially as a central midfielder.
Yeah.
But,
okay, so I understand that, and I've realised on time we've been going for a while because we're obviously quite.
Oh, it's fine. That's fine. Just keep going.
Yeah. Yes or no?
What I want to try and point this towards, just to try and get some sort of positive solution out of this. Where do we go from here? this is an ultimate low, I think, for possibly one of the clubs in the Premier League. I understand Championship League One, blah, 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 liquidation, yada, yada. In the Premier League, as I think this has got to be one of the lows that we've seen. What is the reaction? What is the game plan? Where do we go from here?
We only concede 8 against City on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay. Because
we need to not
talk
get
about
embarrassed by City. Then
not get embarrassed.
we have some
That's
sort of reputation.
That's not get embarrassed.
No, that's not a game plan.
That should be the game plan.
No, it should not be.
It's
The
not
game
get
plan
embarrassed.
should not
That's
be.
not
We
City.
go out to make sure that we don't get
Destroy
embarrassed.
us. We're going to get embarrassed 2 games in a row. If you try and at least have some reputation about us, and then we come back in the season and not get relegated.
You can't tell your players before the game, say, oh, let's not get embarrassed. That's not a game plan. What I'm saying is, who do you change? Who do you keep the same? Because obviously you've got a 5 at the back that's not working, that have conceded 9 goals. Do you try and keep that pairing? Do you change to prove a point?
Danzo in there. He'll just change up the team. That's the thing. He brought on 2 Leicester. Yes, he conceded 4 goals. But he just change it around. He's not giving me a chance. I just want to see him play from the start of the game, so actually gets a chance to play.
Mikey, speak.
The problem is now is that we have no left backs.
No.
So
Bertrand sent off.
Bertrand
sent it off.
Yeah. And we do not have another left back to come in unless Jake Vokins gets magically fit from out of nowhere.
So Danso's playing left back. Is that what we're assuming?
So Danso's going to be playing left back probably. I would change it to a 4 at the back because obviously 5's not working. We've just got to change it to 4. I would put Stuart Armstrong in there because even though he probably didn't have a fantastic game when he came on the pitch, he put in the effort that a lot of players weren't having. I don't really care which midfielder we take him out for because Romeo was awful tonight. He didn't do his job as a defensive midfielder, and then whenever he got the ball, he sort of just was a lazy lump up field trying to find Redmond running onto it. Didn't even look. I wouldn't mind Højbjerg being taken off. I wouldn't mind Ward-Prowse being taken off. I would like to see Callum Slattery be given a go.
Yeah.
On Tuesday night, maybe. Give a couple of the youngsters a go. See if is Obafemi fit?
I'm not sure. I think so.
Sure.
I believe so. I just don't think he's been selected.
I'd like to see Obafemi be given a go. I'd like to see Shay Adams be given another chance as well.
Definitely.
Just change up for Tuesday night because the players that have been out there tonight, I know it would have been tough on them. Like people going, oh yeah, no, they don't care. Of course they care. They've just been embarrassed 9-0 on live TV in front of 32,000 fans, their home support, and the entire nation. Of course they're embarrassed. Of course they're going to care.
And they're embarrassed.
Because that's going to be, for the rest of their career, they're going to be known for being from that team that lost 9-0 to Leicester. So, of course they care. Those players need a good rest. They need to get out of the lineup, and you just have to play a rotated side against it.
I believe you. Because the thing is, you have no obligation to play a full team against Man City, do you? Because they're going to play a weak team. Why don't we play a weak team? Because what does that give you? It doesn't give you any difference to your normal team. You get some players that haven't played before. Shay Adams, what happens if he gets on the score sheet? Slattery, what happens if he has a good performance? It gives you another option. And it doesn't have any negatives. Because the worst thing you can say is a team that haven't played before and it's against Man City. No one's going to blame you. But you've got to go to Man City in the cup. No, not in the cup, in the league, actually. You've got to go to them in the league, not the cup. And in the cup, anything can happen. It's a free pass almost, isn't it? Whereas in the league, you've got to actually create a performance. And there's got to be a difference. And people are looking for a bounce back because, we're in the negative history books right now. That's where we are as a club. And that's somewhere we've got to move from. And we've got to try and protect our club from a dangerous downward spiral. Because something like this is in the history books for clubs. I mean, Ipswich were the people that we're drawing with at the moment. Where are Ipswich now? That's
League
what
One.
we're League One. That's what if we're not careful, that's what we could be looking at.
At the top of League One. What do you know?
That's what we could be looking at. If we're not careful, that's what we could be looking at.
Against Manchester City, we've just got to play the players that are hurting them, that want to play, that want to recover. Not the best players, the players that want to get the salvation of this game. That even if that means if 4 of the players that started today don't want to play, don't put them in the squad. Play the players that want to prove that the game against Leicester isn't what they really are. It's not what they really are. That's not a showing of them. If they're not up for it, then they're not up for it. We'll play them in the league or not, or just sell them in January. But I want to see players that want to play for the shirt, that want to play for the club, and show that performance isn't them. It was just a one-off. I know it's difficult to say one-off, but you know what I'm trying to get at. It's play the players that want to show a really good performance.
They're better.
They're better than that. They're much better than that.
Okay, that's true. Okay, so should we try and reach some sort of conclusion? Because we've had a quite a difficult night tonight watching that game.
Well, it was a successful night for the people that I was watching it with and the people in my uni, because two of them put a selection of bets on and they won a grand title of well over £600 from it. Yeah. So they did well, because one of them when it was 1-0 and Bertrand got sent off, one of them predicted 7-0 after 10 minutes and cashed out for quite a hefty sum. One of them put Jose Perez and Jamie Vardy to score a hat-trick. So that's fantastic as well.
That's crazy. But without looking
at least some people had a great night. But
without looking at betting highlights, let's really reach some sort of conclusion that we can kind of move on from this. Obviously, tonight is a night to forget. What is Ralph's steps in this week building up? What do you want to see against Man City? And what is a positive sign from the Man City game? That's all I want to see. What does Ralph say, and what's a positive sign?
I don't think this is a night that we should forget. I think this is a night to remember that from this night, the club could go two ways.
Yeah.
There could be a fantastic reaction. We get a good result against City on Tuesday night. We get a good result against City on the Saturday, and then we build from those two results. We just got to keep building from those results. Or this is going to be the night where we will be relegated. It's going to be one of the two.
Okay.
It depends on the players' reactions, and it depends on Ralph's reaction. If Ralph turns up to the City game and plays the exact same side, I think I would have lost faith in him. Because we cannot play the exact same side that played tonight.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what would be a positive from the Man City result, Harry and Mikey? What would you see as a positive sign from the Man City games?
It's tough because it's City. You'll say we went up there last year and lost 5-1.
Yeah.
So
6-1.
But what I'm saying is, what would you want to see from that game? That gives you that
effort.
Positivity to just effort. Is that it?
Hunger, desire, promise? Yeah, those are the three things I want to see.
That's what we want to see.
I love a really good result, and with those three, you wouldn't expect to get smashed. But as long as I see hunger, desire, and promise, and the want to improve on what we've seen today, then I have hope.
Yeah, because do you agree today that the hunger and the want and the promise, as Harry said, left during that game?
There was none of it after the 10-minute spell. There was no hunger left in the team.
Okay, I reckon the cup is a trial run, but the league game really tells us what we see. If we don't see that hunger and we don't see the effort level by the players, can we agree that those players aren't interested in the a difficult way to put it. We can kind of agree that if we don't see a reaction from that Man City game in the league, that we are in trouble. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry, would you say that?
Yeah.
We're kind of
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing, I know City, but it's proven that they can be beaten.
I mean,
they
Crystal
are not
Palace
as strong.
Last season. You can
Wolves 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The team that we
ago,
drew with beat Manchester City. So if we get smashed back to back, that just shows the decline we've had in a fortnight.
Yeah,
and
if we see a reaction and a difference in those players in the Man City game, I'll be hopeful. But I'm going to summarise this, and I think I'm going to leave it on this. You guys are welcome to say your opinions, but I think if we don't see a reaction or a difference in that Man City league game, then we're in real trouble. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think we're in real trouble now.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I also
I think we're truly.
Yeah,
go on, Mikey. No, go on.
Newcastle got smashed by Leicester, and then they beat Man United. So
but that's what I'm saying. That there was a reaction.
We need a reaction.
Yeah, that's a reaction. If we don't see
we need brothers to come through and play in our midfield.
Yeah, if we don't see that reaction in City, I think we're in real trouble. If you guys got any other thoughts, but I'm happy to kind of leave it on that opinion.
I'm happy to leave it on that.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough.
Okay, right, we'll say that then. We want to see a reaction by Man City. I apologise for my ranting. I have had a couple, so I'm kind of ranting off on a few. So you'll have to forgive me for that. But
I finished off a 2,000 calorie cake in about 15 minutes.
But Harry's been bitching on cake.
I've destroyed some gummy bears as well.
I'm signing up to the gym tomorrow morning.
Jamie's been told that he needs to shut up. So if you're wondering why he's been quiet for quite a few bits, he's been told to shut up. So I've been
because he thought Johnny Evans was English.
So I don't know how we're going to include this, but I want us to show our initial reaction to the game. So if we put this in the podcast, if we edit it down, I don't know what we'll do.
I think we should just upload
release
it ASAP.
Just release it.
Just ASAP.
Okay.
Don't even wait till Monday. Just do it as
I'm
soon as
happy
possible.
to do that then. Just put
edit it now.
Initial.
No. Don't necessarily edit it. Just none of us said anything bad or controversial. So.
No. Jamie swore.
Okay, but I'll put it out and Jamie just did that now, but I won't do the socials or anything like that. But it's been me, Ollie,
Harry,
Jamie, who can't talk, and
Mikey.
Mikey. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks for remembering me.
Sorry for the Southampton fixture result.
It's not our fault. It's
Jamie. There you go. Hope this podcast kind of helped as a kind of a help to what you saw, and let's hopefully see a reaction at Man City. But thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.